Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene. First of all, I would like to inform you of something important. Since yesterday, the major social media platforms have started to impose more severe restrictions on our content. So if you don't want to miss the news of our channel, please subscribe to our other social media accounts, such as Parler and Rumble. Over the past few days, leftist media's manipulation of the riots at Capitol Hill has made the entire situation deteriorate dramatically. This is reflected mainly in two areas. President Trump and the politicians supporting him are being attacked, with attempts to remove them from office. President Trump's supporters are also labeled as thugs, and further actions against this group are being prepared. As we have said before, the essence behind this election battle is a confrontation between justice and corruption, and between freedom and communist tyranny. No one is a spectator. Everyone is a participant and has to choose his or her side. An unprecedented political purge is brewing in the United States, and we can already see the beginnings of a totalitarian revolution. On January 7th, President Trump released a video. He condemned the heinous attack on the United States Capitol, the violence and the lawlessness involved, and he promised a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. Meanwhile, President Trump posted another tweet stating that he will not be attending the inauguration of Joe Biden on the 20th. It could be viewed as an indication that he does not recognize the legitimacy of the election results. Now it seems that the Democrats try to bring down President Trump and his supporters as fast as they can. So far, the political retaliation against Trump is coming from three sources: his own cabinet, Congress, and the judiciary. In his cabinet, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has publicly asked Vice President Mike Pence and other cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment in order to impeach President Trump. Actually, the 25th Amendment wasn't originally designed as a tool for impeachment. It was designed for a situation where if the president is for some reason unable to perform his duties as president, then the vice president can constitutionally fill in as an acting president until the president declares that he is able to perform his duties again, or until a new one is elected. In fact, it was confirmed on January 7th that Pence has rejected Pelosi's call to impeach the president. The second approach is for Pelosi herself to take action. She made multiple calls overnight on January 7th to push for another impeachment of President Trump on the grounds that his encouragement of his supporters to storm the Capitol is an, quote, act of treason. She scheduled a conference call with the House Democrat caucus at noon on January 8th. The Democrats in Congress were surprisingly quick, as they released a draft resolution on January 7th for impeachment proceedings against President Trump over the Capitol unrest incident. Now the Democrats have a majority in the Senate. It is much easier for them to pass an impeachment resolution. Pelosi's assistant, Representative Katherine Clark, has publicly told media that articles of impeachment could be voted on as early as mid-next week. Many of you may be confused or find this inconceivable. According to the established procedure, President Trump will leave the White House on the 20th, and there are only 11 days left. So why are they so eager to impeach President Trump within 11 days? One speculation is that an impeached president will not be able to run for the presidency again. Since the final judgment for impeachment is decided by the Senate can simply remove the president from office and attach a punishment according to law, which will prohibit the person from holding office. On January 8th, the AP reported, quote, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has spoken to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff about preventing President Trump from initiating military actions or a nuclear strike. As you can see, the talk of a nuclear strike is just a guise, designed to make President Trump look like a madman, as if the world will face nuclear war if he is not removed from office immediately. What they are really worried about is President Trump launching a military operation. Of course, it is not fear for military actions against foreign targets, but against certain domestic targets. This is the real reason why they think President Trump is the deadly threat to the deep state swamp in Washington, D.C. According to the New York Post, D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine hinted that President Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and Rudy Giuliani could all be investigated and charged for their potential roles in inciting a violent mob to storm the U.S. Capitol. In an interview with Good Morning America, Racine claimed that his office is investigating dozens of rioters and laid the blame on President Trump because he spoke to supporters before people invaded Congress. Racine also claimed that both Donald Trump Jr. and Giuliani were calling on their supporters to rally in Washington, D.C., so they could both face investigations and the charges for inciting riots as well. Seems like the radical left will go after Trump until the end. They are trying to weave all kinds of charges to send him and his family to jail. In addition to Trump and his family, now the left is moving quickly to take political revenge against Trump's supporters as well. On January 7th, e-commerce provider Shopify removed online stores run by the Trump Organization and the Trump campaign. In a speech on January 7th, Joe Biden made claims regarding the people who gathered in D.C. on the 6th.
They weren't protesters. Don't dare call them protesters. They were a riotous mob, insurrectionists, domestic terrorists. It's that basic, it's that simple.
AOC, a radical left congresswoman from New York, joined Congresswoman Cori Bush, who called the chaos on Capitol Hill, quote, terrorist attack. She also blamed Senator Cruz for the chaos and called for him and Senator Josh Hawley to resign. If they refuse to resign, quote, the Senate should move for your expulsion. Senator Cruz responded with, leading a debate in the Senate on ensuring election integrity is doing our jobs, and it is in no way responsible for the despicable terrorists who attacked the Capitol yesterday. It is important to stress that taking away the jobs of these truth-seeking senators is not the end. The left wants to silence them as well. A publisher named Simon Schuster on January 7th canceled publishing Senator Hawley's book due to his objection to the electoral votes. They said they cannot support Senator Hawley after his role in what became a dangerous threat to our democracy and freedom. Hawley responded, let me be clear, this is not just a contract dispute. It is a direct assault on the First Amendment. Only approved speech can now be published. I will fight this cancel culture with everything I have. We will see you in court. As you can see, whether it's Cruz or Hawley, they initiated the challenge to fulfill their constitutional rights. But in the words of the leftists, it was an attack on liberty and democracy. And what's even more shocking is that this retaliation is not just directed at a few people, but is rapidly expanding to a much larger group of people. The Daily Mail reported on Thursday that at least 8 Republican senators and 146 representatives have now been labeled treason caucus. They are now in danger of being expelled for objecting Biden's victory after Capitol riot. After the Capitol riot, newly elected Democratic Representative Cori Bush planned to draft a bill to expel Republican lawmakers who had publicly pledged to challenge the electoral votes of the disputed states. This Congresswoman Cori Bush is dubbed by the media as a veteran BLM activist. In fact, it's not just in Congress that people are calling for such absurdity. Rick Klein, political director of the left-wing ABC News, made a shocking statement this week on Twitter that, quote, "The fact is that getting rid of Trump is the easy part. Cleansing the movement he commands is going to be something else." I don't think the word cleansing is new to most of you. From the Nazis to communist totalitarians, cleansing of dissenters have become standard part of totalitarian regimes. The cleanse often starts with labeling a particular group of people as political outcasts. Then some of their basic rights will be deprived, such as working in public offices, attending school, or going to certain places. They'd be forcibly marked with symbols, and their activities would be restricted, and so on. If after all that they still have religious or political beliefs, it will inevitably escalate to physical elimination, and we've seen this well demonstrated in the regimes of the Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, Cambodia, and China. Some of you may think I am exaggerating. The United States is a democratic country after all. How can it be compared to those totalitarian countries? Just because some individuals have extreme views, it doesn't mean it will become a reality. In fact, there have been supporters of President Trump who participated in the January 6th rally that have already been fired by their companies. Kwako Jaquan Pearson, an African-American college student who was once in the spotlight for speaking at a Defend Democracy rally in D.C., is in danger of being expelled from the University of Alabama. A student who is a leftist activist is seeking Pearson's expulsion from the university, claiming that he is a supporter of violence and is a threat to the inclusivity of the campus. This has forced Pearson to start an online petition in order to continue his studies. For all of you who are familiar with the way communist totalitarian regimes work, no one will think these retaliations, cleansings against President Trump and his supporters are just isolated and occasional. The future of the world is actually determined by the choices that each one of us make today. Thank you for watching. That's all for today. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.